Crabs.
One Sunday morning, my family and I drove out to Crab Creek. As the old car bounced along the red dusty road, I looked out of the window at the turquoise waters of Roebuck Bay. When we arrived, Mum parked the car under the shade of a tree and she raced down to the water's edge with her hand line. The tide was already starting to turn. I picked up my bucket and my spear and I ran off towards the creek. The sand was hot under my feet. I slid down the bank of the creek and waded out into the shallow waters. Wader birds with long beaks stepped lightly across the soft grey mud and peered at me through the corner of their eyes. When I got to the other side, I rubbed my sticky toes together and headed off into the mangroves. It was dark and cool in the shade of the mangroves. I had to tiptoe carefully around all the roots of the trees and listened to the plop, plop, plop of air rising up through the mud. I bent down and picked up a rock to see what was underneath. A little hermit crab had to scurry off and find somewhere else to hide. I picked up another rock, and then another. Two big mudcrabs stared back at me. Aha! I can see you two! Well, we can see you too! And they quickly stepped up a tree. I dropped my bucket and my spear, and I climbed the tree after them. I can see you two! Well, we can see you too! And they darted back down the tree and dug and dug and dug themselves into a hole in the mud. I poked my long spear down the hole. I can see you two. Well, we can see you too. And they climbed out of their hole in the mud and they scurried off into the creek. I quickly paddled into the creek after them, put on my goggles, and ducked my head under the water. I've got you! Very carefully, I picked the crabs up by the back heads and put them into my bucket. They started fighting. I shook the bucket to one. I paddled back over the creek and dashed across the sand, calling to my family, Mum, I got two big muddies! Two big ones! When I got back to camp, Mum had already built a fire. She was cooking the golden trevally she had caught. I picked up the crabs and I threw them onto the hot coals. I sat there waiting for them to turn orange. When they were done, I broke one of the tender claws off and gave it to my mum. The family had a good feed. At the end of the day, we sat there watching the tide empty out of the bay. Long-legged wader birds picked their way across the silvery mudflats. It had been a good day.